Hi to you watching this video. So for this video, we're going to discuss about module 2 and it is labor computation. So we will be discussing or we will be computing the duration for manpower, duration for equipment, and its costing. Okay. So before we do that, let us first run down the things that needs to be done first. Okay, in the construction site. By the way, for this module, we are following the TPWH Blue Book, which contains different activities called the items. Okay, so we will be using these activities in line of a typical construction project. Okay, so let's start off with mobilization. So at the start of every project, there are several possible scenarios. You need to prepare the site before any actual construction must proceed. Okay, so we need these essential facilities because take note, your workers or the labor force are humans, so we have necessities. Okay, and we also need to provide essential essential facilities. And what are these? So number one, essential facilities and services. Okay, so number one, we have the electric and water line. So you can request from electric and water provider for temporary connection. Okay? If hindi kayang provide due to location, kasi for example, there is no existing water connection, water line or electric line, then you can have a generator and water storage tank in your site. Okay? Because electricity now at this point of age in human civilization is already a must. And water line, of course, water is essential for human survival. Okay. Next would be barracks or workers' quarter. So at the start of a project, you might only need few individuals to construct a barrack or workers' quarter. So you must estimate how many workers you are going to hire that will be staying at the project site. So in some cases, some of the workers choose to go home. Depending on the type of project, it can vary from a temporary structure to a portable barracks. Now, yes, there are many cases now wherein your workers opt to go home because of number one, comfortability in terms of um, shelter kasi malapit lang sila, and number two, because of food. Okay, so yung food pag uwi nila libre, wherein pag nagstay sila sa barracks, most often than not the food is not free. Okay, so binabawas yan sa sahod. Okay. Okay. Number three, fencing. In order to protect neighboring structures and prevent outsiders from going into your project site, a fence must be erected. So it should be made of material that will last at the duration of the project and can be used for other purposes or projects. Corrugated GI sheets with steel supports are commonly used. Depending on the scale and the condition of the project, then you must adapt accordingly. So yes, this is also very important. So fencing, this is to avoid an unauthorized person entering the construction site. And take note, meron tayong sinusunod na safety protocols on site. So if wala tayong fencing, there might be cases or instances where unauthorized personnel might enter the site without following the proper safety procedures and protocols, okay, which might cause harm to the project. And hindi lang naman siya para itago kung ano yung ginagawa nating procedure sa loob, no? That is for safety rin ng mga nasa paligid ng construction site. Okay? Number four, sanitation facility. This is one of the most important thing to construct. It is advisable to construct first the septic tank with a temporary toilet and waste washing facility so as to maintain proper sanitation at the construction site. So if there is already an existing building and there is a pre-existing septic tank, you can use it one for the meantime. So sanitation facility is very important. Nasa ano natin yan, cost and nasa provisions ng ay nasa yeah, nasa code ng ano yan, or nasa provisions rather ng DOLE. Because if there are no proper sanitation on site, possible na magkaroon ng disease. Okay? So, ano yung disease na kinukos um, ng hindi proper na sanitation. So, pwede yung diarrhea, nandyan din yung uh, pagsettle ng mga pests, yan. So, we are trying to avoid that. That's why, importante yan na una pa lang, before mag-settle sa isang project or before mag-start ng project, part ng mobilization is having a proper sanitation facility. And of course, yung mga trabahador mo, every after ng work or pagkatapos nilang magtrabaho, amoy pawis yan, malagkit sila, they want to freshen up. Okay, so yan. Dapat merong sanitation facility. Number 5, engineer's quarter and office. The engineer and other high-ranking workers must have their own separate living area from ordinary workers. In this office, you can place computers in the plans or other important documents from the projects. Of course, it is very important to have a separate quarter in office for workers. Why? This is number one, this is to maintain the edification of hierarchy, and number two, because there are files or there might be documents that should not be exposed to workers kasi may mga confidentiality yan. So yung mga documents that dapat nakakakita lang yan ay yung mga officials natin. Okay? So that is to avoid disclosure of disclosure of confidential documents. Okay. Number 6, bodega or storage. So some materials like fittings, nails, tools, tiles, etc., and most finishing materials must be placed in a bodega where it must be properly locked in order to prevent theft of the construction materials. Cement must also be placed in a bodega if possible, in order to prevent damage due to moisture. You can construct bodega that you or use certain vans. In placing materials, create a hallway like the one shown below so that you can easily access the materials. So apply the principle of first in, first out on similar materials. The hallway will allow you to easily access the material as needed. So, bakit kailangan natin na i-secure yung mga materials? Hindi may iwasan na sa isang construction site magkaroon ng nakawan. Or actually, pwede siyang iwasan. Pero may mga instances na nagkakaroon ng nakawan. Maraming instances, to be honest. And the best way is to have, of course, nandyan yung ating logistics. Nandyan, na chine-check natin yung logistics and ano yung tamang term? We have the list or checklist ng items natin na pumapasok at lumalabas sa bodega. Saan ginagamit, kailan ginagamit, anong oras ginamit, or anong oras nilabas. Okay? That is to avoid yung pagkakaroon ng nakawan. Because nagkakaroon ng nakawan on site dahil yung mga materials pwedeng ibenta yan ng mas mura. So mas kikita yung nagkakaroon ng sideline. Illegal sideline yung mga workers. Okay? And pag nabenta na nila yan, more often than not, wala ng paraan para ma-retrieve yung item. Okay? Now, cement must also be placed in a bodega to prevent damage due to moisture. Yes, that is true. Because if your cement will accumulate moist or ma-moist yung cement natin, titigas na yan. And hindi na natin pwedeng gamitin yan. Okay? So, you can construct the bodega or use a container van. So, yeah. Dapat meron kang bodega or meron kang container van. So, in placing materials, create a hallway like, and this time, dapat first in, first out. Okay? FIFO. Kasi, kung ano yung unang pumasok, dapat yun yung unang lalabas na material natin para na-make sure natin na hindi nagde-degrade yung quality ng material. Kasi like for example, yung bakal natin, let's say, unang dumating na bakal natin, dapat yun din yung unang gamitin natin. That is to avoid rusting. Kasi for example, yung dumating nating material, excuse me, yung unang dumating natin ng material, ginamit natin sa after 4 months, let's say, yung bakal. Okay, so we can expect na magkakaroon ng starting ng rusting. Okay, so we want to avoid that as much as possible. Okay, so after mobilization, next would be site preparation. So site preparation can be done simultaneous with mobilization. Yes, actually, yes. So you can choose to use heavy equipment or manual labor or combination of the two. What you need to consider is the quantity, cost, and accessibility of the project site. So these are the three main things that we need to consider during uh, site preparation: quantity, cost, and accessibility. So number item 101 is clearing and grabbing. So sa clearing and grabbing, dito yung pag for example may mga unwanted uh, materials tayong nakita on site. For example, nandyan yung mga grass, nandyan yung mga uh, damo-damo, mga maliliit na halaman, or mga puno. Yeah. So, kini-clear natin yon. Yung lugar na pagtatayo ng structure, kini-clear natin yon so that we can see the landscape, yung landscape na mismo or yung terrain mismo nung ating site. Okay? So, para mas madali tayong makapag-layout and staking. Okay, so after clearing and grabbing, next is the removal of structures and obstructions. So if there are structures, existing structure, like for example, or sira na yung structure or nagiba na yung structure, we need to clear that because we consider that as an obstruction. Of course, kasi pag hindi natin nilinis kaagad yan, tapos naghukay tayo, it might cause us unnecessary trouble. Okay, so yan. Next would be item number 102, excavation. So excavation, and item 103 is structure excavation. So sa excavation, this is the removal of earth material. Okay? So sa earth material, meron tayong common earth material, meron tayong unidentified or undefined earth material, and meron din tayo yung stone material or yung um, wait, I forgot. Anyways, dadaanan naman natin yung excavation later. Okay? So, this is another, and yeah, the purpose, and after structure excavation, you need to have your survey. So, this is another important activity because we need to ensure that the lot boundaries are properly established. Coordinate with the owners of adjoining lot and the barangay in order to avoid future problem in lot boundaries. So you can also establish reference point in the survey to ensure the proper setback is established. And with this activity, you must also be able to roughly lay out your structure and guide the excavation process. So if your project has specialized activity like the use of sheet piles or for slope protection, then you must accommodate such activities. Actually, bago magkaroon ng excavation, nagkakaroon na tayo ng resurvey. Yung sa resurvey, ang ginagawa natin doon, nag-establish tayo ng points or chine-check natin yung points or yung boundaries so that hindi tayo magkaroon ng encroachment sa other side ng lot. Okay? Or hindi lumagpas yung gagawin nating structure sa lot ng hindi natin pag-aari. Kasi if that will happen, magkakaroon tayo ng problema sa owner. Kasi pwede niyang gawin, kahit na ayaw natin, pwede niyang tanggalin or gibain yung structure na nag-encroach sa property niya. Or, pwede rin namang mangyari is bilhin natin yung land kung saan nag-encroach yung structure natin sa property niya. But that would cause unnecessary delays. Okay, so another purpose of survey is to establish the points and set guidelines, and makakapag-staking na rin tayo, wherein sa staking it would be our reference, okay, for the layout. Okay, yun. So we are now ready for the example. Okay, so we have here example number 1. A school complex is to be constructed with a lot area of 2,500 square meters. Now the area is with medium foliage, and there are 140 trees which are less than 0.25 meter in diameter. Now 73 of these trees must be cut down to accommodate the school, while the rest will remain for aesthetic purposes. However, the foliage undergrowth must be cleared so that it will not be a habitat for snakes and other dangerous animals or insects. The common excavation will generate a volume of 390 cubic meter, while the actual structure common excavation will generate an addition of 140 cubic meter. Now the salary for the laborer is 350 per day, and the price of chainsaw is 15,000 each. Okay? So we need to highlight here yung medium at saka yung saan yan? Common excavation. We have to highlight that common excavation. So medium and common excavation. And in here we have 7 labors. Okay, 7 labors. Okay. Now before we start with computing for the clearing and grabbing netong 2,500, we need first to consider yung cutting ng trees. Take note, there are 140 trees, and 7 to 76 of these trees must be cut down. Okay? Now, ang gagamitin nating labors is ang given din natin, we have 2 chainsaw of 2-man gang, and we also have 7 laborers. Yeah, given. Okay, so these are our given. So for the solution, unahin natin si 2-man gang na chainsaw. So 2-man gang, then 2 yung chainsaw natin, dito gagamit tayo ng 4. Okay, now sabi dito, the complex the area is medium foliage, which are having 140 trees. Now if we are going sa basis natin, which is this one, individual removal of trees up to maximum of 0.25 meter diameter. 0.25 meter diameter, pasok siya. Okay? So, the next thing is, tignan natin kung ilan yung kanyang productivity rate. Now, we have here 1 tree per man day if we are not going to use any equipment. But if we are going to use power tools, which is chainsaw, we can have 10 trees, 2-man gang per day. Okay? So, to solve for the duration is equivalent to number of trees. So we have here 76 trees. And ilan yung kayang putulin na trees ng isang chainsaw? So one chainsaw can cut 10 trees per day. Okay? Per 2-man gang per day. Okay? Take note, you have 2 chainsaw. So, mag-multiply ka dito ng 2. Then, this is also 2-man, 2 chainsaw. Okay? So, you will be having 76 divided by 10 times 2. That is equivalent to 3.8 days. Okay? Okay, so here's the thing. If it is zero point 0.5, it is equivalent to zero point 0.5 or above, we are going to round up that to 1 whole day. But if it is zero point 0.4 or below, round up natin siya to zero point 0.5 day. Because we can use that setup half day. Okay? Like for example, ang lumabas is 0.65. Wala namang 0.65 na day. So we will be going, we are going to round that up to 1 whole day. Okay? Okay. Next would be for 4 days. Yan, 3.8 days is equivalent to 4 days. Now for 4 days, etong tatlong tao, etong apat na tao na to, kasi it is a two-man gang, di ba? So you have 7 labors minus 4 equals 3 labors. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, itong tatlong throw, magsisimula na sila sa clearing and grabbing ng 2,500 square meters. Okay? Ngayon, dito, kailangan nating isolve what would be the area na malilinis ng matitirang 3 labors na to for 4 days. Okay? Take note, our formula for duration is equivalent to productivity, tama. It is area divided by the output times number of labor. Okay? Take note, we have the the duration, and we have the output and the number of labor. So, cross-multiplying, we can now solve our area. Area is equivalent to duration times output times number of labor, then we can get our area. So, ang duration natin is 4 days. Take note, sa unang 4 days, kakat ng trees yung apat. So, yung tatlo, sa 4 days na yan, ano yung gagawin nila? So, the duration is 4 days times what is the output. Now, ang sabi sa problem natin, it is medium foliage. Okay? So, if we are going to check here, we have the light, medium, and dense. So, since it is medium, we are going to use 35 square meter per Monday. So, times 35 square meters per Monday. Okay? So, take note, this is just a unit analysis actually. Unit analysis lang siya. So, 4 times 35 square meter per Monday. So, we need to cancel the day. So, magka-cancel dito yung day, 4 days, tapos Monday. Okay? Then, times yung ano natin, number of labor. Ilan yung labor natin? 3. Ang matitira sa atin is in square meters. So, 4 times 35 times 3. That is 420 square meters. Okay? Now, to solve for the remaining duration, let's say this is duration 1, then we have here duration 2. Okay, so duration 2 is equivalent to the area divided by output times number of labor. Okay, so for the duration 2, ano yung total area natin? It is 2,500. Pero hindi na yan kasi may natrabaho na ng yung tatlong labor ng 4 days, which is 420 square meters. So we have 2,500 minus the output ng tatlo, which is 420, divided by the output of medium, which is 35 square meter per Monday. So this is in square meters. So 35 square meters per Monday times ilan yung labor natin? We have 7. Okay, so 7 times yung output na 35. So we will be having 1,500 minus 420 divided by 35 times 7. And that is equivalent to 8.49. So, 8.49 days. Okay, so since it is below, this should be 0.49, not zero point 0.4 only. So 0.49, so we rounded up to 8.5 days. Therefore, the total duration for clearing and grabbing is equivalent to 4 plus 8.5, that is equivalent to 12.5 days. Okay? Okay, so are we done now? Not yet. We need to solve for our costing. So for the labor cost, it is equivalent to, we have 7 labors times ilang days sila magtatrabaho? 12.5 times, ano yung rate nila per day? It is 350 pesos. Okay? So the labor cost is equivalent to 7 times 12.5 times 350. That is equivalent to 30,625 pesos. Okay? Now the for the power tool, or let's say equipment, for the equipment cost, it is equivalent to 15,000 each, and the price of chainsaw is 15,000 each. Okay, so it is 15,000. So this is equivalent to 15,000 per chainsaw times 2 chainsaw. So chainsaw will simply cancel out. Therefore, the total costing for equipment is 30,000. Therefore, the total cost is equivalent to 30,000 plus 30,625. Therefore, that is equivalent to 62,625 pesos. Okay? Next would be the excavation. Now, for the excavation, we have our daily output here. If it is a common excavation, it is 3 cubic meter. Unclassified excavation, 1.5 cubic meter. And if it is a stone removal, 0.5 cubic meter. But this is for manual or labor. Okay, so this is the productivity or the output of a labor per day. Now, if we're going to use the equipment based on the maximum disposal distance of 30 meters, D4 na bulldozer is 210 cubic meter, D6 is 250 cubic meter, and D8 is 410 cubic meter. Now, determine the duration of total excavation using a D4 bulldozer. Okay? Now, going back to the problem, ang sabi dun sa problem natin, we have here, the common excavation will generate a volume of 390 cubic meter, while the actual structure common excavation will generate additional 150 cubic meter. Therefore, the total volume of excavation is equivalent to 390 plus 150. So that is equivalent to 540 square meters. Okay? Now for the duration is equivalent to the volume total divided by the output per day times the number of heavy equipment. Okay? And that is equivalent to 540 square meters. And ang output ng bulldozer natin is 210. So 210 cubic meter per day. This should be in cubic meter. Times, ilan yung bulldozer natin? Isa. So this is equivalent to 540 divided by 210. And that is equivalent to 2.57 days, and that is equivalent to 3 man day. Okay? So, tatlong araw na hukay tayo. Now, take note for heavy equipment. For heavy equipment, let's say it is 0.49 man day. We need to round it up still to 1 whole day. Okay? Kasi ang rentahan natin ang rentahan natin ng heavy equipment is per whole day. So kahit na mas mababa siya sa half day, whole day pa rin natin siya i-round off. So if ever lumabas dito 2.35, we still round it up to 3 man day. Okay? Next is item number 104, embankment. Okay, so as per description, this item shall consist of the construction of embankment in accordance with the specification in conformity with the lines, grades, and dimensions shown on the plans or established by the engineer. So, before we proceed, ano bang itsura ng embankment? So, embankment is a backfill. No? It is a backfill. Most often than not, it is 4 roads. Okay, so itong itsura ng embankment. This one is embankment. Okay? Okay. Or, pwede rin namang, yeah, this one is also an embankment. Okay? Yeah, this one is an embankment as well. This is, okay, so ito yung embankment natin. Okay. So, material requirements, embankments shall be constructed of suitable materials and in consonance with the following terms. Number 1, suitable material. Material which is acceptable in accordance with the contract and which can be compacted in the manner specified in this item. It can be common material or rock. So it can be a common material which is soil, or it can be also made of rock. So select borrow for topping, soil of such gradation that all particles will pass a sieve with 75 mm or 3-inch square openings, and not more than 15 mass percent will pass on 0.075 mm or sieve 200 as determined by a AASHTO T11. Okay, so dapat lalagpas siya yung particle size natin, lalagpas sa sieve 75 sieve of 75 mm, pero hindi siya lalagpas sa number 200 dapat ang lalagpas lang sa number 200 sieve natin is not more than 15%. Okay? So, a AASHTO T90 and a liquid limit of not more than the material shall have a plasticity index, the PI, should not be more than 6 as determined by AASHTO T9, and a liquid limit, LL, of not more than 30 as determined by AASHTO T89. Okay? Now, for unsuitable material other than suitable materials such as A. Materials containing detrimental quantities of organic materials such as grass, roots, and sewage. So, this should not be these are unsuitable material for embankment. Why? Because they are organic materials. They will decompose. Okay, and when they decompose, they will create voids, and when there is void, more often than not, there will have a unwanted settlement. Organic soils such as peat and muck, soils with LL exceeding 80 or plasticity index PI exceeding 55. Soils with a natural water content exceeding 100%. Okay? Soils with very low natural density, 800 kg per cubic meter or lower. Soils that cannot be properly compacted as determined by the engineer. Okay? So, yeah. Ito yung mga criteria natin for unsuitable material. Okay. So, in an embankment, we should consider the shrinkage or the swell factor to be 20%. But this one is for common borrow only. Okay? Or common soil. Now, for the labor, the daily output in cubic meter per man day, for common earth and unclassified material is 4 cubic meter per man-day. While if we're going to use an equipment with one road grader, it is 600 cubic meter per day, or from 400 to 600 cubic meter per day. Now for the compaction, actually we have discussed this from our previous video, but for compaction, the labor, which is stamping, itatamp nila for every layer, it is their output is 2 cubic meter per man-day. Okay, so this one is applicable for backfills, for cross drain or retaining walls. Now if we're going to use equipment, it is for portable plate compactor, it is 50 cubic meter per day. For one toner road roller, it is 100 cubic meter per day. And if it is 911 toner road roller, then it is 300 cubic meter per day. Or it can go as high as 400 cubic meter per day. Now, the duration of water track is equal to the duration of the road roller. Okay, as I repeat, the function of water track is to moist the soil that aids in compaction. Okay, the ratio of one road grader to two road rollers. So one grader is to two road roller. Number of dump trucks per day depends on the capacity of road grader per day. Now, embankments are usually used on roads to achieve a desired level of roadway. So, the heavy equipment used is the road grader because it allows you to control the thickness of the layer of soil to be placed for embankment. Usually, the layers are at 200 mm. Okay, so ito yung ating road grader. Yung road grader natin aids in leveling our ground surface and with a thickness of 200 mm per layer. Kasi pag nilalagay natin yung soil, it is per layer para nako-compact siya properly. Okay? Yan. So after each layer, it must be compacted. Yan. So item 105, subgrade preparation. So this item shall consist of preparation of the subgrade for support of overlying structural layers. It shall extend to full width of the roadway. So yung buong width ng roadway dapat covered niya. Unless it is authorized by the engineer. Subgrade preparation shall not be done unless the contractor is able to start immediately the construction of the pavement structure. Okay? Number 106, compacted equipment and density control strips. Description. When specified, the procedure will be used to determine density requirements of selected embankments, subgrade, bases, and bituminous concrete. The procedure will consist of control strip construction to establish target densities for specified course plus the use of sand cone method of density testing equipment to determine in-place densities obtained during the construction process. So, during this process, meron tayong ina-achieve na certain density ng soil natin. And of course, it is with respect to the soil classification pa rin naman. Okay? Yan. Yeah. So this part is best discussed in your geotechnical engineering 2. Okay. So number item 107, overhaul. So overhaul shall consist of authorized hauling in excess of the free haul distance. Free haul distance is the specified distance that excavated material shall be hauled without additional compensation, unless otherwise provided in the contract. The free haul distance shall be 600 meters. Now, for the hauling kasi, if you're excavating or even in transportation of materials, okay, so meron tayong tinatawag na point of origin to the point of workplace, or it is vice versa, point of workplace to point of destination. Now, for hauling, it is a big consideration kasi it is time consuming. Okay? Ibang trabaho kasi ang hauling. So, when we do overhaul, make sure that it is in excess of the free haul distance. When you say free haul distance, ito yung distance na napagkasunduan or napag-agrihan or standard na distance na isiset na hindi dadagdagan yung bayad. Okay? Now, pag nag-exceed ka, like for example, katulad dito, the free haul distance shall be 600 meters. Now, if you exceeded 600 meters, then, with that, magdadagdag ka na ng bayad mo. Okay? Yun. Item 200, aggregate sub-base course. Item 201, aggregate base course. Item 202, crushed aggregate base course. So this one is will be discussed in highway engineering. So part na yun ng specialization nyo if you're going to choose or enroll highway engineering. Okay? So the three items above are very similar in placement with the following conditions. Usually at a single layer of 100 mm to 150 mm. Yan yung thickness niya per layer. So 150 to 100 to 150 mm for the sub base, 100 to 150 mm for the base course, and 100 to 150 mm for the aggregate base course. And again, for every layer, dapat nako-compact yan. Okay? So, the only difference of the three layer is the quality of the aggregate to be placed, which is determined by gradation of the aggregate, as you have learned in Geotech and CMT. So we are going to consider a shrinkage factor of 15%. Spreading capacity of one unit road grader is 600 cubic meter. Next, the compacting capacity of one unit roller is 300 cubic meter. Now, the duration of water truck is equal to the duration of the grader. So, 1 unit grader, 2 units road roller. Now, for labor or supervision, we have 1 engineer, 1 foreman, 1 flagman, 2 flagmen. Okay, so sila yung nag-guide sa ating heavy equipment. 1 lab tech and 1 helper or labor for every equipment except for dump trucks and rollers. Okay. The data provided in the previous page is applicable for the three items. As can be seen from the reference on the road roller will accomplish half the output of the road grader, which means that it would be good to have 2 road rollers for each road grader if the time is of the essence. Ibig sabihin yan, yung isang buo, kunyari, one hole can be finished or can be accomplished by the road roller, pero ang ma-accomplish ng road grader is kalahati. Ay, baliktad. Yung ma-accomplish ng road grader, mas mauna pala si road grader. Yung ma-accomplish ni road grader, kunyari, it is a hole, nung na-accomplish niya, ang ma-accomplish lang ni road roller, which is for compacting, is kalahati. Now, kung nagmamadali tayo or time is very important, para 1:1 ang ratio, mangyayari niyan, 1 road grader is equivalent to 2 road roller. Okay? But if not, i-multiply natin yung days. Kunyari, mag-work si road grader ng 1 day, si road roller mag-work ng 2 days. Okay? Kasi kalahati nung nagagawa ni road grader ang nagagawa ni road roller. But in most depending on the scenario, it is possible to have a road grader and road roller operate at the same time, which means that the time to accomplish the task is much shorter. But in most cases, in road construction, the road grader is used first, then followed by the road roller. Okay? So, in most road construction, mauuna muna si grader. I-level natin yung surface. Saka siya i-compact ni road grader. But there are also scenario wherein ginagamit na si road grader, then nakasunod sa likod niya nakasunod na si road roller. Okay? Actually, hindi minsan ang tawag na lang natin dyan is for the road grader. Saan yung grader natin? Ang tawag na lang natin dyan, grader, and yung sa road roller, roller na lang. Okay? So this will allow the engineer to properly monitor the activity. But again, this is dependent on the availability of equipment and time frame you are trying to abide with as project manager. Now for our computations, we will not use volume allowances, but we will apply the shrinkage factor. Okay? So hindi tayo maglalagay ng volume allowance. This time it will be shrinkage factor. Okay. Okay, so we have here in a mountainous area an aggregate sub-base course which is 100 mm thick or 0.1 meter thick is to be uh, placed on a road which has a width of 12 meter and a length of 4.5 kilometer. How long will one unit of road grader and one unit of road roller accomplish the task? For this scenario, the road roller shall be used after the road grader accomplishes its task. Okay? So, meron tayong kalsada. Yan. So yung haba ng kalsada natin is 4.5 kilometers. And yung width ng kalsada natin is 12 meters. Okay? And the thickness of the sub-base course is 0.1 meters. Okay? Now, what would be the volume? Take note, we are using here the 0.15 shrinkage factor. No. We use the 15% shrinkage factor. Okay? Now, para malaman natin yung total volume and yung volume and yung volume na yun yung gagamitin natin para malaman yung duration, we need to determine yung volume na yun. Okay? So the in situ volume, when we say in situ, it is the in place. Okay? In situ. Pag sinabing in situ, it is the in place. So in situ volume times 1 minus the shrinkage factor is equivalent to the compacted value. Okay? Now, what will be the in situ volume? Okay? So, the in situ volume, yan yung ano natin. Let's say that is x. X times the shrinkage factor, 1 minus yung shrinkage factor of 15%. So, 0.15 is equivalent to the volume. Ano yung magiging volume natin nung sub-base course natin? So, the volume of the sub-base course, volume of sub-base course is equivalent to 4,500 meters times the width of 12 meters times the thickness of 0.1 meter. Therefore, the volume is equivalent to 4,500 times 12 times 0.1. That is 5,400 cubic meter. Therefore, our sub-base course, the volume is equivalent to 5,400 cubic meter. Therefore, x is equivalent to 5,400 divided by 0.85. And the in situ volume is equivalent to 5,400 divided by 0.85, and that is equivalent to 6,352.94 cubic meter. So this is the volume that we are going to deal with. Now, in terms of rounding up, we are going to round up na mag-increase tayo ng 0.1 sa volume kasi for safety factor na rin yun. Okay? So, we are going to have here our in situ volume to be rounded up, and that would become 6 point, and since magra-round up tayo ng 0.1, magiging 6,353 cubic meter na siya. So, ito na yung gagamitin nating volume. Ngayon, pag 0.84 yan, magiging 0.9. Okay? Pag 0.85, 0.9. Pag 0.87, magiging 0.9. Okay? Okay. Next. So, for the duration of the, ano bang mauna? Is it the roller or is it the grader? Isn't it that the grader first kasi siya yung magle-level, and ang trabaho ng roller natin is to compact. Okay? The duration of the roller is equivalent to the in situ volume divided by the output. Okay, so output of roller times the number of roller, and that is equivalent to the in situ volume of 6,353 cubic meter divided by the output of the roller. And the output of the roller is equivalent to, mali. Mauna dapat si grader. Sorry. So it should be grader. So we have here the duration of grader. Yes, it should be the grader first kasi siya yung magle-level. So grader, the duration of grader is 600 cubic meter per day. So 600 cubic meter per day times the number of grader natin, which is 1. Therefore, the duration of the grader is equivalent to 6,353 divided by 600. That is equivalent to 10.59 days, and that is equivalent to 11 man day. Okay, we're not yet done. Now we have here the duration of the roller na. So for the duration of the roller, same. We have the in situ volume divided by the output of the roller times the number of roller. So the in situ volume is 6,353 divided by the output of a roller, that is 300 cubic meter per day. So 300 cubic meter per day times 1 roller, and that is equivalent to 21.18 man day, and that is equivalent to 22 man day. Now for the total duration, take note, sabi dito, we have how long will the 1 unit road grader accomplish the task. For this scenario, the road roller shall be used after the road grader accomplished its task. So, ibig sabihin, gagamitin lang natin si roller after matapos ni road grader yung kanyang trabaho. Okay? So, for the total duration, it is equivalent to 11 days, 11 Monday, plus 22 man day. Therefore, the total duration is equivalent to 33 days. 33 man day. Okay? That is for option number 1. Now, for option number 2, we have here the the output of a gang, which is composed of road grader, road roller, and water truck. Okay? Now, it has a productivity rate of 300 to 400 cubic meter per day. If it is a flat terrain, we can maximize it to 400 cubic meter per day. If it is a rolling terrain, 350 cubic meter per day. If it is mountainous, 300 cubic meter per day. Now, according to the problem, it is a mountainous area. Therefore, we are going to adopt the 300 cubic meter per day. Now, for the duration, okay, duration is equivalent to in situ volume divided by the output per day times the number of gang. Okay, so take note, this is just unit analysis. Actually, this whole computation is a matter of unit analysis. So if you are confused on how you're going to solve, just check the unit nung mga item, then analyze how you're going to cancel the unit so that may iwan yung unit na desired mo. Okay? So for the in situ volume, it is equivalent to 6,353 cubic meter divided by the output of the gang, which is 300 cubic meter per day, times, ilan yung gang natin? We have 1. Cubic meter will cancel out, day mapupunta sa taas. Therefore, our duration would be this one, 21.18 days. So, 21.18 days. Okay? So, that is equivalent to 22 man day. But take note here, in this scenario, magkasunod si road grader at saka, ay magkasunod si road roller at saka si grader. Okay? This is for 22 days. Okay? Now, yung na-solve natin kanina na 33 days, yung 33 days, itong duration na to kasi si si grader, matatapos muna siya bago magtatrabaho si roller. But here, if we're gusto natin paikliin, ang gagawin natin, magkasunod si grader at saka si roller so that we can attain the 22 man day. Next item 203, lime stabilized road mix base course. Okay, so this item shall consist of a foundation for surface course composed of soil aggregate. Okay, so aggregate, lime, and water in proper proportions. Road mix and constructed on a prepared subgrade subbase in accordance with specification and the lines, grades, and typical cross sections shown on the plans or established by the engineer. Okay. Next is item 204. Excuse me. Portland cement stabilized road mix base course. So this item shall consist of a foundation for surface source composed soil aggregate, Portland cement, and water in proper proportions, road mix and constructed on a prepared subgrade subbase in accordance with the specification and lines, grades, and typical cross sections shown on the plans are established by engineer. So, yeah, dinidefine lang siya dito and sinasabi na kailangan natin sundin yung plano natin. Okay? Next you have here the asphalt stabilized road mix base course. So this item shall consist of a foundation for surface course. Napapansin nyo, magkakaiba yan. Surface course composed of soil aggregate, lime, and water proportions. Ito, surface source composed of soil aggregate, Portland cement, and water. Dito naman, surface course composed of soil aggregate and asphaltic material in proper proportion. Now for Portland cement treated plant mix base course, so this item shall consist of a foundation for surface course composed of aggregate, Portland cement, and water in proper proportion, mixed by a travel plant. Okay, so mixed by a travel plant, which is our transit mixer or a central plant, so yung batching plant natin, and spread and compacted on the prepared subgrade subbase in one or more layers. So in accordance with the specification in the lines, grades, thickness, and typical cross-section shown on the plans or as established by the engineer. So after niya ma-mix, of course, ibubuhos na natin on site. Now for aggregate stockpile, this item shall consist of furnishing and placing aggregate in stockpiles at location shown on the plans or as directed and approved by the engineer. So, yeah, it pays to follow, no? It pays to follow kung saan yung designated placing area of materials. Kasi, unang-una, hindi nalilito yung mga trabahador. Pangalawa, there is, nagkakaroon ng kaayusan, okay? There is an organization set, okay? Next is aggregate surface course. So this item shall consist of wearing or top course composed of gravel or crushed aggregate and binder material. So which is called for the in the bill of quantities. So constructed on a prepared base in accordance with the specification and in conformity with the lines, grades, and typical cross-sections shown on the plans. Then, ito na yung mga susunod. Bituminous prime coat, bituminous stock coat, seal coat, surface treatment, penetration macadam pavement, road mix surface course, plant mix surface course. Now, if you're going to observe yung mga items kanina na nakalista are vertical, mainly on horizontal projects, okay? Kasi ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is more or less kalsada or hindi lang naman kalsada, more or less horizontal projects. Okay? But the productivity rate, yan, applicable pa rin siya naman for vertical projects. Okay? But take note, these are not absolute values. May mga, as I said before, may mga companies na nag-a-adapt ng ibang productivity rate or output per day ng kanilang manpower kasi yun yung na-observe nilang galawan ng kanilang mga workers. Okay? Yan. Okay, so for a bituminous concrete surface, if it is 0.5 thick, verify sa maintenance, we can finish 2,249 square meter per day. Now, if it is 0.075 thick, that is in meters, we can finish 1,500 square meters per day. Okay, so what are the heavy equipments? We have the asphalt paver, steel roller, and pneumatic roller. Now, for bituminous material, we usually deal with the specialized equipment to be used, where the output will depend on the equipment used. Okay? So, yung output nakadepende sa equipment na gagamitin natin. So, bitumen, the liquid that holds the asphalt together. The asphalt is the combination of aggregate and bitumen. Okay? So, siguro naman sa mga bagong gawang kalsada, na-observe niyo ito, yung asphalt natin, yung nakalagay na sa drum, tapos yung iniinit nakainit na may siga sa ilalim yan. So, that is an asphalt mix. So, bituminous plant mix shall not be placed on any wet surface or when weather condition would prevent the proper handling or finishing of the bituminous mixture. So, pag mapapansin nyo sa mga kalsada, naglalagay ng asphalt pag hindi maulan. Okay? And conventional asphalt mix are very weak pag malamig or tag-ulan. Kaya napapansin nyo, yung mga ordinary na asphalt, pag umuulan or bumabagyo na, tag-ulan, nababakbak. Okay? But yung mga advanced asphalt mix which underwent research studies, kahit na umuulan, naka-intact pa rin siya. Katulad yung sa Session Road that underwent study. Okay? But yung mga ordinary na nilalagay lang na asphalt, pag umuulan, natatanggal. So the asphalt mixing plants designed to produce a uniform mix with the job mix tolerances. So self-powered pavers that are capable of spreading the mix with the thickness and the width specified, true to the line, grade, and crown shown on the plans. Number 3, enough smooth metal bedded haul trucks with covers when required ensure orderly and continuous paving operations. A pressure distributor that is capable of applying tack coat and prime material uniformly without atomization. 5. Steel wheel pneumatic tired or vibratory rollers capacity of attaining the required density and smoothness. 6. A power broom or a power blower or both. Number 7. Hand tools necessary to complete the job. Other equipment can be used in addition to the specified equipment when approved by the engineer. But most common, these are the equipments that we are using for asphalt pavement. Okay. Next is Portland Cement Concrete Pavement or what they call PCCP. Okay, so for PCCP, from the word itself, pavement, ito yung sa kalsada. So this item shall consist of pavement of Portland cement concrete, with or without reinforcement. So constructed on the prepared base in accordance with this specification and in conformity with lines, grades, thickness, and typical cross-section shown in or on the plans. Now we have two options. We have option one. If we are going to use a transit mix, either 20 mm thick yung pavement natin or 0.23 either 20.20 meter thick or 0.23 meter thick, we can have an output of 90 cubic meter per day. And it is composed of three: transit mixer, payloader, concrete vibrator, batching plant, water truck with pump. Okay? Kasi yung pump siya yung nag-eject ng water sa truck natin. Okay? And lalo na pag mataas yung elevation ng pagbubugahan ng water. Okay? Kaya pansin nyo, di ba, pag dumadaan kayo sa mga water truck, may ingay. That is because of the pump. Now, if we are going to use a one bagger mixer, ang output natin is 8 to 10 cubic meter. So you see the difference. Okay? Now, if it is a structural concrete class A, okay? Structural concrete class A, these are for vertical projects. We can have an output of 27 cubic meter per day. Transit mixer, 3 units, payloader, concrete vibrator, batching plant, water tracked with pump. Now, for a structural concrete class A, if we are going to use one bagger mixer, we can only produce 6 to 8 cubic meter per day. Okay? Now, Portland cement, concrete pavement. If, ito, yung one bagger mixer, ito, yung one bagger, this one bagger mixer here, no. Ito. This is for PCCP. For PCCP, one bagger mixer, itong 8 to 10 cubic meter, the manpower required is 1 foreman, 2 mason or carpenter, 15 laborers. Okay, take note, included na dito yung installation ng forms. Okay? For the 8 to 10. Now, if we are going to use the transit mixer for the PCCP, ito yung PCCP natin, 90 cubic meter per day. Ang kailangan natin na manpower is 1 foreman, 1 laboratory technician, 6 skilled workers, 10 laborers. And included na dito yung workforce sa batching plant and on-site. And again, included na ang installation of forms. Okay? Now, for structural concrete class, one bagger mixer. Ito yon. Diba? Sa structural concrete, one bagger mixer, 6 to 8 cubic meter per day. Ang manpower natin for one gang is 1 foreman, 2 masons or carpenter. We have 15 laborers. Again, included na ang installation ng formworks. Okay? Or forms. Next, for transit mixer, ito yung natin. Structural concrete, ito. Structural concrete, 27 cubic meter. Ang manpower natin would be 1 foreman, 1 laboratory technician, 6 skilled workers, 10 laborers. And dito kasama na yung workforce sa batching plant at saka sa site. And again, included na ang installation ng forms. Okay? Next is option 2. Now, sa option 2, we are going to compute for the quantity. So, we are going to have the aid of quantity surveying nyo. So, yeah, mako-compute natin yung number of bags, quantity ng fine aggregates, quantity ng coarse aggregates. Hindi natin ito susundan. Ang sundan natin yung ginagamit natin sa quantity surveying. Okay, so you were able to solve that. Okay, but don't forget to include dowel bars, joint feelers, and etc. Okay. Now, for batching and cast in place, we will be using 2 units of 1 bagger mixer, minimum yan. Then, from here, capacity niya is 180 bags per day, or 90 bag per 1 bagger of concrete mixer, but we are adopting the 70 bags, okay, for 1 concrete mixer. So, if we want to attain the 20 cubic meter per day PCCP, then we will be using this gang here. One civil engineer, one material engineer, one laboratory technician, one foreman, four mason, two carpenters, 24 laborers. Now, equipment support for 2 units of one bagger mixer should be, we should have the following. Water provision, we should consider this following things, no? We have water, portable concrete vibrator, bar cutter, and concrete cutter. So we can attain this 20 cubic meter, okay, for a one bagger mixer, okay? Now, using transit mixer, okay, for number of trips per day, apply the spotting times spotting. So 3.6 is the volume carried by mixer, which may change depending on the capacity of the mixer. So the best thing to do here is to ask your supplier what is the capacity of their transit mixer, okay, because it varies. But generally, it is 3.6 cubic meter. Now, for the crew, we have 4 laborers and one materials lab technician. So, sa batching plant. So, sa site, one civil engineer, one foreman, two mason, two carpenters, one materials engineer, one material lab tech, and 10 laborers. Now, what are the equipments required? Two transit mixer, one payloader, one portable concrete vibrator, one water tank, one concrete batching plant, one bar cutter, and portable concrete. So these are the two options. So yeah, actually ang convenient gamitin would be option 1 because we already have our cubic output, no? So we don't need to solve for the volume or for the quantity of the materials. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try this example. Okay, so we have here a PCCP, Portland cement concrete pavement, will require a volume of 13,500 cubic meter. In this project, the road is divided into 3 sections where one gang will work per section. Okay, so let's try to use option number 1. So we're going to have a mixer. So determine the duration of the project using the following. So you have the output of an average gang, whether it be 20 200 mm thick or 230 mm thick. So we have 3 transit mixer, a payloader, concrete vibrator, batching plant, and water water tracked with pump. Okay, so first we need to solve for the duration. So for the duration is equivalent to the volume of concrete divided by the output per day times the number of gang. Okay? So, ano yung volume ng concrete natin? The volume of our concrete is equivalent to 13,500 cubic meter divided by the output of 90. So, that is 90 cubic meter per day times the number of gang. Ang number of gang natin is 3. Okay? Because we have 3 section and one gang per section. So, times 3. Cubic meter will cancel out. Pupunta sa taas si days. So, we are left with the number of days. So, we have 13,500 divided by 90. No. Divided by 90 times 3. And that is equivalent to 50 man day. So, this is our duration. Okay? Now, with given the duration, we can now solve for the cost. Okay, so ito na. Determine the labor cost using the following rate or option. Okay, so we have here the laborer, lab tech, skilled, foreman. Okay, so we have here the rate or ito yung sahod nila per day, number of gang, the total, and the total cost per day, cost per day. Then we have the total cost. Okay? So ano rate ni labor natin? It is 350. Ano rate ng lab tech natin? It is 600 per day. Ano rate ng skilled natin? 550. Foreman natin is 700. Okay? Tapos, ilan yung gang natin? We have number per gang. Ilan ang number per gang natin ng laborer? We have 10. We have 1. We have 6. And we also have, again, 1. So, the total is, ilan gang meron tayo? Tatlo. So, 3 times 10, that is 30. 1 times 3, that is 3. 6 times 3, that is 18. 1 times 3, that is 3. Okay? So, the total cost per day is 30 times 350 is equivalent to 10,500. 600 times 3, that is equivalent to um, 1,800. Then we have 550 times 18. So 9,900, and we have 700 times 3. We have 2,100. So, yan. Now, i-multiply natin yung cost sa number of days. So, ilan yung days natin? We have 50. So, 10,500 times 50, makukuha natin yung total cost. So, 10,500 per day yan, times 50 days. It is equivalent to 525,000. Then, 1,100 times 50, we have 90,000. 9,900 times 50, that is equivalent to 495,000 pesos. Tapos, we have 210. So, we have 2,100 times 50, that is equivalent to 105,000. Therefore, the total is 525 plus 90 plus 495 plus 105 is equivalent to 1,215,000. So that is the total cost for the labor and for the equipment during a 50-day period. Now, if we are going to try option 2, so we have here option 2. So sa option 2, we have here an output of 810 cubic meter per day. Okay? So 8 to 10 cubic meter per day, and gagamit pa rin tayo ng tatlong gang to solve. Okay? Now, for the duration, imagine duration, we have here the volume of 13,500 cubic meter divided by, ano yung output natin? Ang output natin per gang is, sabihin na natin 8 to 10, so gamitin natin si 10. So we have here 10 cubic meter per day. Ilang gang tayo? We have 3 gangs. So cubic will cancel out. And magbibigay sa atin is 13,500 divided by 10 cubic meter times 3. So that is roughly 450 man day. Kung 1 gang per per stretch of the length. Okay? Kasi ito, if it is a batching and cast in place, kung ito gagamitin natin. Ngayon, if magmamanual ka pa rin or magle-labor ka pa rin, then increase the number of gang per set. Diba? We have 3 set or 3 division. So, i-increase mo. But 450 days, masyado matagal yan for a project. Imagine, lagpas 1 taon for a volume of 3,500, where in fact, pwede mo naman siyang gawin lang ng less than 2 months. Okay? Next is item number 400, that is piling. Item number 401, that is railings. Okay, so this item shall consist of furnishing or fabricating and or placing railings for bridges and other structures of material or combination of materials shown on plans, constructed in reasonably close conformity with this specification, and to the lines, grades, and dimensions shown on the plans. So basically, railings are just a part of the structure which prevents us from falling. Okay. Item 402, timber structures. Item 403, you have metal structures. So this consists of steel structures and steel structure portions of composite structure constructed in reasonably close conformity with the lines, grades, and dimensions shown on the plans or established by the engineer. Okay. So the work will include furnishing, fabricating, hauling, erecting, welding, and painting structural metals called for in the special provision or shown on the plans. Okay, so in item 403 you have metal structures. Included yung furnishing, fabricating, hauling, erecting, welding, and painting of structural metals. Okay. Next is reinforcing steel. So this shall consist of furnishing, bending, fabricating, and placing the steel reinforcements of the type, size, shape, and grade required in accordance with the specification and in conformity with the requirements shown on the plans or as directed by the engineer. So, pag-furnish natin ng reinforcing steel bar or yung deformed bars, yung pag-bend niya, yung pag-fabricate, and yung pag-install. Depending sa type, sa grade, and sa shape. Okay? So for a reinforcing steel bar, we have here the materials for tire wires, 15 kilograms per ton of steel bar. Again, this is not absolute because mainly for our estimation, we use the intersection. We use the intersection, not intersection method, but for the area method actually. So bibilangin natin yung intersection sa area, then from there, yun, i-multiply natin sa area no slab. Like then for example naman you have the beam or the column, then per meter length naman tayo. Okay? Now for the labor, included dapat dyan ang cutting, pag-cut ng bars, pag-bend, pag-fabricate, pag-install, and other miscellaneous works. Okay, so the composition is 1 civil engineer, 1 construction foreman, 2 steelman, 2 skilled laborers, and 6 laborers. And the capacity of this gang is 750 kilograms per day. Okay, so equipment required per gang is 1 unit of bar cutter. Now for structural concrete, so you have here batching and casting in place. So yan. So 1 bagger or 2 bagger mixer depende sa schedule and sa utilization, and naka-refer yan sa per CPM. Like what we have said, per CPM will help us determine kung kailan gagamitin and saan gagamitin. Okay? Curing, so either ponding or use of curing compound or combination or both as specified in the standard DPWH specs. Now for the formworks, okay, formworks, we have a minimum crew of 1 civil engineer, 1 construction foreman, 2 carpenters, 4 laborers. And the capacity is 35 square meters per day. That is for fabrication and installation. Mas mabagal mag-fabricate and mag-install. While the stripping is mas mabilis kasi magbabaklas ka. But in stripping kasi, as much as possible, we try to salvage the material so that we can reuse them. So stripping is 50 square meters per day. Now for scaffolds for bridges, the material is 20 board foot per meter height per square per meter span. Okay. Now for Portland cement, concrete pavement, 1 bagger, 1 foreman, 2 mason or carpenter, 15 laborers. This also again includes forms installation. So item 406, 406 pre-stressed concrete structures. Item 407, concrete structures. Item 408, steel bridges. Item 409, welded structural steel. Item 410, treated and untreated timber. Item 411, painting. Item 412, elastometric bear, bearing pads. Okay. Item 413, performed sponge rubber and cork expansion joint fillers for concrete paving and structural construction. So if you want to check the specifications of this item, just check it's a blue book, okay? So may yan ng DPWH. So item 500, pipe culverts and storm drains. So we have the scope of work, laying and coloring. Backfilling shall be item 104. So, 'di ba pag maglalagay tayo ng drain ng culverts sa mga kalsada, huhukayin, i-install yung ating pipes, then magkakaroon ng backfilling. So, if yung size niya is 300 mm diameter, then the capacity ng crew natin is 24 pieces ang kayang ilagay sa isang araw. If it is 450 mm diameter, then ang capacity ng crew natin is 12 pieces lang per day. If it is 600 mm diameter, then the capacity is just 8 pieces per day. And the composition is 1 civil engineer, 1 foreman, 1 mason, and 6 laborers. Now, if nababagalan kayo sa productivity rate nila, or sa output nila per day, then we can use 2 gangs, 3 gangs, and so on. Okay? Depending on the time constraints. And of course, yung location din ng project, location and yung size ng project. Okay? So, item 501, under drains rather. Item 502, manholes, inlets, and catch basins. So item 503, drainage stills grating with frame. 504, cleaning and reconditioning existing drainage. Item 505, riprap and grouted riprap. So the proportion of mix for grouted riprap is 1 part cement, 3 parts sand. So walang gravel yan kasi riprap yan. Dapat kasi pag may mali tayong mga bato or gravel, pag ipapatong na natin yung ating bato para maging siyang riprap, baka magkaroon ng pag-sway. Okay? And unnecessary additional work yon. So the labor consists of 1 civil engineer, 1 foreman, 1 materials lab tech, 2 skilled labor, and 6 laborers. Okay, for preparation of foundation, for excavation, we have here the composition of 1 civil engineer, 1 foreman, 10 laborers. And the capacity is 18 cubic meter per man day. This is based on the assumption that all materials are within reach of the laborers. So, hindi malayo actually. Let's say around 10 to 20 meters yung lapit ng materials. Okay? So, boulders equal to volume of grouted riprap. Cement, C2 is cement 2. 2.5 bags per volume of grouted riprap. Then, sand is 25% volume grouted riprap, which is 0.25 cubic meter. Then, of course, definitely dapat for water provision, dapat readily available yung water natin on site. Now, item 506, you have the stone masonry. Okay, so for laying of boulders, grouting, curing, and installation of whip hose, 1 civil engineer, 1 construction foreman, 1 materials lab, 6 skilled laborers, 12 laborers. The capacity of the gang is 13.5 cubic meter per man day. Laborers are around 0.5 to 1 cubic meter per man day, or an average of 0.75 cubic meter per man day. Okay. So you also have here rubber concrete, hand-laid rocket embankment, sheet piles, concrete slope protection. Ito slope protection, ito yung para hindi mag-erode yung soil natin. Okay? Gabion and mattress, this is also a part of slope protection. Item 600, you have curb and gutter. 601, sidewalk. 602, monuments, markers, and guideposts. 603, guardrails. 604, fencing. 605, road signs. 606, pavement markings. 607, reflective pavement studs. 608, topsoil. Okay? 609, sprigging. 610, sodding. 611, tree planting. Okay? So, importante pa rin ang tree planting because there's may law na nagpo-protect sa tree. Pag pumutol tayo ng isang puno, dapat palitan natin ng 10 sa relocated area. Okay? Reflective thermostatic plastic stripping materials. Yan. Hydraulic cement, construction lime, bituminous materials, aggregates, masonry units, joint materials, concrete, clay, plastic, and fiber pipe, metal pipe, chemical admixtures for concrete, paints, RC, and wire rope. Okay, so yan, naulit lang. 12 structural 11 fence and guardrail, 12 structural metal, 13 treated and untreated timber, 17 water, 15 geotextiles. Okay? We have here the labor factor guide. So this will just help us in or this will help us and guide us at the same time sa magiging labor rate ng workers natin. Okay? So for example, this is just an example. The minimum wage here in the minimum wage is around 357. Let's say it is 357. This is the minimum wage for, let's say, Baguio City. Okay? Now, ano yung magiging idea mo para magiging pasahod for the foreman, the lead man, the operator, for heavy, operator for light, heavy equipment, labor mo, which is highly skilled. Okay? So, labor na skilled lang, labor na unskilled. Okay? So, we are going to base it in from our minimum wage. So let's say the minimum wage is 357 pesos. Okay? Now, para magka-idea ka kung ano yung magiging range nung papasahod mo sa foreman mo, i-multiply mo lang yung labor index. So the minimum of 357 times 1.8. So roughly, naglalaro siya sa 642.6. So pwedeng tumaas, pwedeng bumaba. Pero at least meron kang guide. So sabihin mo, foreman, 600. Yan. But foreman, since magaling ka naman, or pwede natin pag-usapan, gawin natin 650. Okay? So, but it still depends on the, it still depends on the negotiation. Okay? It can vary. But at least you have a guide. Now, for example, sa labor mo na unskilled, so 357 times 1, so 357. So, sabihin mo, sige, taasan natin, gawin natin 400. Okay? Or 360, 380, ganun. Okay? Nakabase siya sa minimum wage and sa labor index. Okay? Now, going to the sample problem, we have here, a building was estimated with the following computed volume of concrete and weight of reinforcing estimate the duration. Estimate the duration of each activity. Now, of course, we are always going to start with the footing. After the footing, sa column, grade beam, ground slab, or grade slab, then so on. Okay? Now, I am just going to show you one computation here. And sabihin na natin dito na tayo kay column. Or, pwede rin naman kay footing. Sige, kay footing na lang. Kasi mas marami siyang steel reinforcement. Though dito kasi kay column, mas marami siyang formworks. Okay? Now, for the footing, duration of footing, we have here the volume of concrete divided by the output per day times the number of gang. Now, the problem here is, dito, sa, sa data natin, one bagger has a capacity of 6 to 8 cubic meter per day. Okay? And we have one foreman, 2 mason, a carpenter, 15 labor, and a total of, a total of 18 manpower per day. Now, kung titignan mo dito, we have here, one foreman, 3 skilled, 8 unskilled. Okay, one bar cutter and one concrete mixer. Okay, dito ang total mo is 1 foreman, 3 skilled, 8 unskilled, 1 bar cutter, 1 bagger. So 4, 12, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so you're just 14. Now we need to convert that. Okay, so yung output natin, or we need to have a factor for that. So let's say ang gamitin nating output is 8 cubic meter per day. So 8 cubic meter per day has an output of, has a manpower of 18 manpower per day. Okay, so magiging 8 divided by 18, so that is 4/9, that is cubic meter per day squared manpower. Now ito, you have a crew of 16 naman dito. So ano yung magiging productivity or output nila per day? So we have here 14 manpower times 4/9, ito yon, 4/9 cubic meter per day squared times manpower. So manpower will cancel out. Then manpower day. Okay? So this is day. May day ito. Yan. So day will also cancel out. So matitirang unit natin is cubic meter per day. Okay? So times 14. So that is equivalent to 56/9 cubic meter per day. So ito yung gagamitin nating output. Okay? Now to solve for the total duration, ano yung volume natin? Volume natin for the concrete, we have 60 cubic meter divided by the output of 59/9 cubic meter per day times the gang of 1. Therefore, the duration for the concrete is equivalent to 60 divided by 59/9. And that is equivalent to 9.15 man day, or that is equivalent to 9.5 days. Okay. Next, for the duration of the steel reinforcement, duration of steel, that is equivalent to the weight for steel, weight of steel divided by the output per day times the number of gang. Okay? So, ito yung ating productivity rate for steel. Reinforcing steel bar, we have the tire wire, 15 kilograms per meter, 15 kilograms per ton of steel bar. Then, we have a capacity of 750 kilogram per day having this labor. Okay, so we have here 2 steel men, 2 skilled laborers, 6 laborers, and 1 construction foreman. But the problem here is, again, ang manpower natin dito is 1 foreman, 3 skilled. Ang skilled mo lang dito is si steelman at saka dalawang skilled. Okay? So, pwede nating pagsamahin yan since skilled naman yung laborers mo. We can have 4. So, 4 skilled, 6 laborers. Ito is we have 3 skilled, 6 unskilled labor. Okay? So, let's get the proportion. So, 2, ay mali yung tinitingnan natin kanina. This is, at pwede, tama. Formworks pala ito, sorry. So, we have here the skilled. So, 5, 11. So, 11, kasi we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, 11 and ang productivity rate nila is 750 kilograms per day. So, we have here 750 kilograms per day divided by 11 manpower per day. So, that is equivalent to 750 divided by 11. That is equivalent to 750 over 11 kilogram per day squared manpower. Now, para makuha natin yung productivity rate nito, we have 3. Tapos, gagamit tayo ng 6 na labors. 4 lang na skilled. Tapos, 6 na labors. Okay? So, 12 manpower day times 750 kilograms per 11 day squared manpower. Manpower, cancel. Day, cancel. So, the productivity rate would be times 12. Wait. I think sumobra tayo. Wait. Bakit mas marami yung 12? So, we have... hindi. Pasok tayo. Wait. Nagkamali. So, dalawang... no. This should be 11... 4. So, dapat 10. 10 lang. So, dalawang skilled. So, that is 4 na skilled plus the foreman, 5 na skilled. Ang skilled lang natin dito, 4. So, this is not 10. This is 12. Okay? So, it is 3 plus 1, 4. Tapos, 6 na unskilled. We will be having 10. Okay? Kasi yung skilled pwedeng mag-downgrade, pero yung unskilled hindi pwedeng mag-upgrade yan. Okay? So, ang gagamitin lang natin na skilled is 4. Dito, where it's supposed to be, dapat 5 sila. Si skilled, steelman, and foreman. Okay? Si foreman, definitely skill yan kasi foreman na yan. Dapat gamay niya yung mga pasikot-sikot ng trabaho ng mga tao niya. Okay? So, 750 over 11 times 10. We have 681.82 kilograms per day. So, this is equivalent to weight of the steel, 3,800 kilograms divided by the output of 681. So, 681.82 kilograms per day times 1 gang. So, kilogram will cancel out. Therefore, the output is in days. So, 380 divided by 681.82. That is equivalent to 5.57 man day. That is equivalent to 6 man days. Okay. Now, for the formworks, Ito naman, for the formworks, we need 3 skilled, 4 labors. Okay? So, pwede na. Kasi meron tayong dalawang skilled. Actually, tatlong skilled. Kailangan lang natin si tatlo, tapos si foreman, then 4 na labors, pasok. Okay? Now, for the fabrication and installation, ibig sabihin, pagbuo and pagkabit, 35 square meter per day. Then yung stripping or yung pagbaklas, definitely mas mabilis kasi magbabaklas ka. But we make sure na as much as possible pag nagbabaklas tayo, nasisave natin yung material para pwede natin gamitin ulit. Okay? Now for the formworks, duration of formworks. Duration of formworks. We have here the installation, fabrication, and install. That is equivalent to the area divided by the output times the gang. So, ano yung area natin? So, yung area natin for the formwork is 10. 10 square meter divided by the output. Ang output natin sa fabrication is 35. So, 35 square meter per day times 1 gang. And that is equivalent to 10 divided by 35, 0.29 man day. So, that is equivalent to 1 man day. Okay? Kasi maliit lang naman yan, class. That is just 10 square meter. Now, for the stripping, same. What is the area? It is 10 square meters divided by, no, this is not 1 man day. This is equivalent to 0.5 man day. Okay, kalahating araw lang. So, 10 divided by 65, or 60, yeah, 60 square meters per day. So, divided by 60 square meters per day times 1 gang. So, the stripping is around 10 divided by 65. 0.16 square, 0.16 man day. And this is equivalent to 0.5 man day. Okay? Hindi nyo pwedeng paghaluin yan, ha? Kasi magkaibang araw yung installation and fabrication. Magkaibang araw yung sa stripping natin. Okay? Now, for the other one, you should do it yourself na lang as a form of practice. Now, for the grade beam, for the ground slab, wala tayong forms sa ground slab. Okay? Kasi nasa lupa na siya. Okay? Yan. Okay, so we have here welding. So welding, what is welding? So welding is the fabrication process whereby two or more parts are fused together by means of heat, pressure, or both, forming a joint as the parts cool. Okay? So it is the process ng pagdugtong natin ng dalawang ibang metal with heat and or pressure. Okay? Now, as a rule of thumb, for weight of a weld is 2% of structure's weight. So, yung weight ng structure, 2% would be the weight of weld. So, the most common electrode used is the SMAU electrode. Okay, so ano ba yung SMAU electrode? Okay, so this one is the electrodes. Okay, yan yung tinutunaw. So, deposition rate can range from 1 to 4 kg per hour, but most common value is 2 kg per hour of electrode using SMAU. If you use more detailed calculation, use the following tables. So we have here the electrode or the welding wire consumption. Okay, so where we have here the L. Ito yung L natin. This is the L or this is the L. Okay, so you have the L. You have here it is in English, and we have here it is in metric. So if yeah, so if we are going to use L to be 3/16, then the weld metal required pounds per feet would be 0.60 pound per feet. Or if it is 4.7 millimeter, kung this is 4.7 mm, then ang kilos niya per kilogram niya per meter is 0.089. Okay? Yan yung weld metal required. Now, if we are going to use small stick electrodes, again, dito tayo sa 3/16, ah, ang magiging required niya na lineal meter of weld would be 0.97. Okay? Ito yung length niya. Okay? 0.097. If it is 4.7 mm, ang length niya is 0.144 meters. Okay? So, yun lang yun. Or let's say, yung fillet size natin is, or fillet size natin is 1/2 of an inch. Therefore, tapos gagamitin natin yung small stick electrodes that is 0.8 0.686 meters. Feet siya. Or if it is in metric, 12.7 yung L natin, this one, then in meter, that yung meter length niya is 1.20. Okay? Okay, don't worry, magagamit naman natin to sa example. Then we have here our T. Ito yung plate natin or yung magkaibang metal. Then ito yung ano natin, ito yung weld natin. So this is the B and this is the A. So if this is the T, this is the B, and this is the E, ito yung required kilogram niya per feet or per foot. Yeah, per feet. Then stick electrodes required would be 0.150 pounds per feet. Okay. So weld metal required refers to the actual weight of metal that is deposited on the weld. So yung mga required na metal natin dito is yung nade-deposit lang sa weld natin. Bakit? Kasi nag-evaporate yan, or yung iba nagiging waste, tumatalsik yan, nagiging waste yan. So the following column shown the actual weight of the electrode used, and it is lower because some of the electrode turns into smoke or waste of the welding process. Okay, so yun nga. Considerations must be taken. Number one, letter A, labor and overhead. Actual labor and overhead rate of your customer. If this figure is unknown, select a reasonable rate for your area. This figure will be the same in the process, proposed, and present method columns. Letter B, deposition rate in pounds per hour. The deposition rate is the actual weight of weld metal which can be deposited in 1 hour. So, at a given welding current at 100% operating factor. So, the deposition rate, yun yung nauubos mo or nai-weld natin sa loob ng 1 oras. Okay? So, in other words, ayan. Other words, it is the amount of weld metal which could be deposited in 1 hour if the welder could weld for a full hour without stopping. Then letter C, we have the operating factor. So operating factor is the percentage of a welder's working day that is actually spent on welding. It is the arc time divided by the total hours worked multiplied by 100 and expressed as percentage. So a 30% operating factor means that only 30% of the welder's day is actually spent on welding. Okay, yan lang talaga yung oras, assuming, ito yung ina-assume natin na oras na na-spend ng isang welder sa pag-weld. Okay, so may mga ibang factors yan, like hauling ng materials, assessing things, yan, mga ganyan. Traveling or transferring from one point to another point, yan. Those are factors. So if the consumer's operating factor is not known, assume a 30% operating factor for SMO. So 45 operating factor for semi-automatic GMAW. NF cow. But kadalasan ang ginagamit is SMAW. So for automatic GMAW and FCOW, operating factor of 60 to 80% may be assumed. Letter D, electrode cost per pound. Select the quantity per pound. Select the quantity price bracket in which the consumer now purchases his filler metal. If unknown, select the price bracket you think applicable and use present for both the present and proposed calculations. Okay, the consideration in here is the time to cut the power. Hindi na natuloy. Okay, anyways, yan. These are the considerations that we need to take into mind when estimating for weld. Okay, so let's proceed with the example. Okay, so we have here the following tabulation shows the weld perimeter and size of weld used to connect steel beams to steel column. So estimate the power cost, the labor cost, and the duration of the activity. Given the following rates, welder is 600 pesos per day, power cost 5 pesos per kilowatt hour, welding machine is 4 units, transformer at 20 volts at 200 ampere. Okay? And for welders. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to determine kung ano ba yung total weight na gagamitin natin na stick for welding. And since hindi siya sinabi, we are going to assume that it is a SMAW. Okay? SMAW. Since this is the common type of welding. Okay? So, the givens are, wait, isulat ko lang. Okay, there we have it. So these are the given section number of connection per section. So sa section 1 may 18, there are 80 connections. Section 2 there are 40 connections. Section 3 there are 20 connections, and section 4 there are 38 connections. Now the perimeter of the weld on connection, the perimeter is 1.8 for section 1, section 2, 1.2 meters, section 3, 9.5 meters, section 4, 12.7 meters. Now, the thickness of the fillet weld is 15.8 for section 1, 9.5 mm for section 2, 9.5 mm for section 3, 12.7 mm for section 4. Now, we need to compute what will be the total length of the weld. So, the total length of the weld, take note the perimeter is 1.8 times the number of connection. We have 1.8 times 80, that is equivalent to 144. So the total length of weld on section for section 1 is 144. Okay. Next for section 2, 40 times a length of 1.2 meters. So that is equivalent to 48 meters. 20 times 9.5, that is equivalent to 190. Okay, and next is 38 times 12.7, that is equivalent to 12.7, wait, this is not 1 point, this is 1.6 meters, 1.6. Okay, so we have 30 times 1.6, we have 60.8. Now for the SMAW stick electrode factor, gagamitin natin yung ating table. Okay, so ito yung ating table. Let's check. So here, our fillet weld is 15.8. Now, dito natin siya titignan. This is the English system. This is the metric system. So, saan dito yung 15.8? 15.8 is this. Okay? Now, ang gamit natin is mouse stick. Okay? So, mouse stick, this is English, this is metric. So, since nasa metric tayo, metric din tayo dito. Therefore, the constant or the multiplier is 1.594. So, 1.594. Okay? Next would be 9.5. So, saan dito si 9.5? Ito. 9.5. Tapos, dito pa rin tayo sa small. It is 0.573. 0.573. Next is 9.5, parehas lang, 0.573. Then we have 12.7. So for 12.7, ito siya, dito pa rin tayo sa small, 1.02. 1.020. Okay? We can now solve for the small stick required. So 144 times 1.594, that is 229.536. Then 48 times 0.573, that is 27.504. Then 190 times 0.573, that is 108.87. Then 60.8 times 1.02, that is equivalent to 62.016. And with that, makukuha na natin yung total. So, total required SMAW. Total required SMAW stick. And it is in kilograms. Okay, so 62.016 plus 108.87 plus 27.504 plus 229.536. So that is, wait, hindi, wait lang. Okay, so may correction tayo. This is not 9.5. This is 1 meter. Okay, mali. So 20 times 1, this is 20. So 20 times 0.573 is equivalent to 11.46. So baka magtaka kayo bakit hindi nag-match sa module natin. Okay? So we have here 229.536 plus 27.504 plus 11.46 plus 62.016, and that is equivalent to 330.516 kilograms. Okay, so we can now compute for the duration of the welding. Okay, now for the duration of the weld, it is equivalent to total SMAW stick required divided by the output, or no, the operating factor times the number of welder times the deposition rate times 1 day is equivalent to 8 working hour. Okay, so what is the total SMAW stick required? So that is 330.516 kilograms divided by the operating factor. So yung operating factor ay given, or it's not given actually, but we are to assume it. If it is not given, sabi, the operating factor is to be assumed to be 30%. Okay? So we use here 0.3 times what is the number of welder? How many welders do we have? We have 4. Times the DR. Ano yung DR natin? It is D, which is 1 to 4 kilogram per hour. But the common most value is 2 kilogram per hour. So we're going to use the 2 kilogram per hour. Okay? So 2 kilogram per hour times. Okay? So we need to cancel out our take note. The units here will cancel. Magka-cancel si kilogram, magka-cancel si kilogram. Matitira si hour. Si hour mapupunta sa numerator. So to cancel hour and to convert that into days, we multiply the number of working hours per day. So 8 working hour per day is equivalent to 1 man day. Therefore, the duration is in days now. So we have 330.516 divided by 0.3 times 4 times 2. 0.3 times 4 times 2 times 8. And that is equivalent to 17.21% percent man day. So that is equivalent to 17.5 man day. So 17.5 days yung magiging time ng ating welding. Now, for the power cost or labor cost rather, so labor cost, it is equivalent to 17.5 man day times. Ilan yung worker natin? 4 welders. 4 welders times, magkano rate nila per day? The rate is 600 per day. So 600 per day. They will cancel out and we are left with peso. So 17.5 times 4 times 600. The labor cost therefore is equivalent to 42,000 pesos. Okay? Next would be the power cost. Now the power cost is given by the formula. This is also given in your module. Is equivalent to the voltage times the ampere divided by 1,000 times the T. What is T? It is the welding time in hours times 1 over N. So ano yung N natin dito? It is the efficiency of welding machine from 0.6 for transformer and 0.25 for generator. Okay? So ito yon. 0.6 for welding machine, which is using transformer, and 0.25 for generator. Now, dito, ano bang ginagamit natin? Transformer. So, we are using transformer. So, gagamitin natin is 0.25. Okay? Or 0. No. 0.6. So, yung V natin dito is 200 volts, 220 times the amperes of 200. So, 200 divided by 1,000 times the time in hours. The time in, yeah, tama, it's in hours. So, that is 17.5 days times we have 1 day is equivalent to 17.5. Wait, ayusin natin. 220 times 200 divided by 1,000 times the time in hour. So that is 17.5 days. Sa isang araw, we have 8 hours. Okay? Times 1 over 0.6 since it is a transformer. 0.06 times R. Ano yung, kulang pala to. Times R. Ano yung R natin? R is our operating factor. Okay, so R is operating factor. And we have here the C times C. So what would be our operating factor? So for automatic GMAW, FCOW, we have 60 and 80% respectively. Now, kaparehas lang siya nito, operating factor na ginamit natin, which is equivalent to 0.3 times the C, which is equivalent to the cost per kilowatt hour. What is the cost per kilowatt hour? 5 pesos. So we have 5 pesos per kilowatt hour. Okay? So, ang matitira dito, magka-cancel yung mga units natin. We will be left with pesos. So, power cost is equivalent to 220 times 200 over 1,000 times 17.5 times 8 times 1 over 0.6 times 0.3 times 5. So that the power cost is equivalent to 15,400 pesos. So, were we able to solve for the unknown? Power cost, labor cost, and the duration. Yes. Duration, 17.5 days. Labor cost, 42,000. Power cost, 15,400.